We on, yeah? Okay. Hey, Rahul back, everyone. Roll, roll. Willie, Rahul back. Nice to see you too. Just waiting for more people to join. Kush, peace. Kazoko, peace. God. I can read it here. Yeah. Dr. Zul, Rahul Bat, peace. Panama Angel, Rahul Bat. Stanley Kelly, Rahul Bat. Henrich Adams, Rahul Bat. Dorinda in the house, Rahul Bat, greetings. Oh, you received the book, excellent. You're welcome. Panama Angel, the online course is fantastic. Oh, that's what we want to hear. You don't know how beautiful it is to come and see you guys online. Nafo Emmanuel, Rahul Bat. Mia Lewis, Rahul Bat. Draco, Rahul Bat. LA Storyteller, Horus Ra, Rahul Bat. We got so much in store for you guys. Let everyone know we're live. Lady of Truth, Rahul Bat from South Carolina, Virgin Island, Rahul Bat. Semi-Gunner, Rahul Bat. Okay. Ray, Rahul Bat. Virgin Island, Rahul Bat. Rahul Bat Moesar. Oh man, I love what you're saying, Roro. Cannot wait to learn our language. Yep. Bring him home now. Bring the master teacher home. That's what we want. We want him home. Not Lim Rahubat. Mahalatsi Melissa, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Rahubat. Rahubat. Richie Rich. Okay, family. Once again, it's that time. OSM Vision. Our souls matter. Ask us anything live. Man, it's so good to see you all on here. Yeah, Rahul Bat. Before we get started, I was coming on today thinking to myself, wow, do you know how blessed we are, like, to have the truth and to have the master teacher with us when the world is going crazy, when there's so much chaos in the world, and knowing that someone has been there for us and is always there for us and to help the world, you know, and we have to do our part. So it's beautiful when I hear people saying that they've received their books, that, you know, the online course is fantastic, and just Wu-Sabat, you know, the video we dropped just yesterday, man, that was just so amazing. The formation, remember that everything we teach, all the scrolls are available for those who are really serious, because you have to build a library. You remember that your family, your siblings, maybe your children can benefit from you having a library. So make sure you get the books as well, because as we said, if the satellites go and there's no internet and no YouTube, you still have your scrolls, all right? Do you know what? Today we're going to give the live chat more attention, because normally the calls come in fast and furious and we don't really get to answer all the questions in the chat. So yeah, today we're gonna focus a lot on the chat. So put your questions in the chat. Hopefully, some of the student teachers might also join the chat and help to answer some of the questions. All right. So yeah, the master teacher is, everyone's got to be talking about Parnabab Yanun, Dr. Malachi Z.K. York. Let the world know, the injustice. We got we got to shout it loud and clear so that, the powers that be, those who can, you never know, we may have some super duper lawyer out there that can just come and help and get things done. We already got a legal team. We're doing a lot of work anyway. This is never gonna stop until he's out, and we want him out. We want him out soon. Okay, so let's look at some of the comments and the questions. South Carolina in the house. Okay, Semi Gunner, because it's your first time, we're happy to have you on board. Anyone who likes to help us, remember every little thing you do, such as liking, sharing, subscribing, any donations from your heart, that helps. And the algorithms, they're based on numbers. They're based on how many people are watching, how many views, how many likes. So you can help us by doing that. And of course, you can help us by you transforming yourself with Wu-Sabat and then helping to reach one person at least, each one teach one. Okay. Right. So because it's your first time, Semi-Gunner, you're saying, this is my first time. I would like if you can explain Rastafarian for me. Thanks. I mean, obviously it's a lot of information and it's like, the master's put out a lot of information. In fact, there's a scroll on the, let me see if I can find it. In fact, I might read that because it will definitely, let me see if I can find it as we are, because there's a scroll the master already written or wrote, called Is Haile Selassie Christ? Okay. Which pretty much covers the question you're asking. It's on our nashat.co.uk website, yeah, so you can actually read it there for free. So if you went to the nashat.co.uk website and went to connect, the connect page is where you find all the information for like Wu-Sabat and what Wu-Sabat is. We got the video there of Prodigy and some of the OSM Vision videos that we've had before. We've got various videos and we've got a list of movies that relate to the doctrine that you can watch. So before I go into that scroll, Is Haile Selassie Christ? To answer your question, the question on this connect page on nashat.co.uk/connect is, what is Wu-Sabat? Answer: Wu-Sabat is an African spiritual science and culture that deals in facts and truth. It is not a religion that deals in blind faith and belief, or belief. Believing in something does not mean it is factually real, right? So if you're searching for truth, you can connect with us. A long walk on a short path, which basically is a phrase that Parnabab Yanun taught us because he had an allotted period of time to transform us. And that was from when he opened the seventh seal in 1970, because this is also predicted or prophesied that one would come. The book of Daniel, when Daniel had the vision, he was told to put that book away because that was explaining the future, and he was asked to seal it up until the right time. So from 1970, he knew he had what we call symbolically 1 hour. So from 1970 to the year 2000, which is a period of 30 years, symbolic for half an hour. And then from the year 2000 to 2030, is the second half hour. And together that gives you the hour. And he put out a book called The Man of the Hour. Okay. And so what I'm saying is that the long walk would be the amount of information that you have to absorb or take in to help you transform. And the short path would be the time that we've got. So, as we explained many times, people take a lifetime to be a Muslim, a Christian, a Jew, or be a part of a religion, and they never master that religion in that lifetime of even, say, 20, 30 years. But in Wu-Sabat, in a very short period of time, even if you just read one book, you literally can take on the world. You can answer questions and deal with anyone in religion, science, history, etc. So the long walk on a short path. So you take a trip through many schools of religion, exposing the deceptions and the distortions and replacing it with the correct translations from the original sources in Africa and African spirituality. And if you want to learn more about what we're calling African spirituality, you go back to the origins, to the original, right? And you go back to the African culture of the Sabians, not the Sabians of Yemen and the ones that came after, but the Sabians, the original, also known as Nuwapians. And that was practiced by our ancestors prior to us being divided and negatively influenced by other cultures and races. So for facts that you can prove rather than belief, which you cannot prove, truth is unity, because truth unites people. Everybody wants the truth. Nobody likes to be lied to. But falsehood is division. So what we deal with is right knowledge, right wisdom, and the right understanding, which leads to sound right reasoning. Because people will say there's knowledge. Yes, everybody can have knowledge, but is it right knowledge? So there's right knowledge and there's wrong knowledge. So of course it's, incumbent on us to learn what is right knowledge. And then from that you get right wisdom to the right understanding. And then you get a sound mind. Because the mental health issues that people have literally comes from the thoughts being all over the place, not knowing what's true from what's false, not knowing what's going on, not knowing like where they're going, what's going to happen. So sound mind leads to sound right reasoning, because you have to reason things out and you have a part to play. Because at the end of the day, no matter how many books I tell you to read, no matter how much information I share, no matter how we convince you and say, this is the truth, you have to find that out for yourself and make your own decisions. Because if you don't research and find out the facts for yourself, you're just a believer. But we're not believers, we are knowers. Most people in religion tell you to believe, where we say, no, we want to know. Because to know is the first part of the word knowledge. And they tell you knowledge is power. Okay, so it's good to have sound right reasoning. So that's me going through the Connect page. And if you look down, we have a number of movies that relate to a lot of what we teach. So I'll give you some of them. Them, Altered Carbon, Childhood's End, Continuum. Some of them are like series as well. The Abyss, Ancient Aliens, Timeless, which is a series, Bliss, Westworld, Independence Day, Enemy of the State, K-Pax, Inception, Adam Ruins Everything, Foundation, Men in Black, Black Panther, Westworld, Edge of Tomorrow, of course the Matrix movies, 1, 2, 3, and 4, the Lego movie, 1 and 2, Three Body Problem, Predestination. Now that's a movie you have to really get your head around. Lucy, Transcendence, They Live. That's what we're doing here. They Live is a movie that basically, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but you put on the glasses and you see what's really going on. And it took a long time for someone to convince a brother to put on the glasses, to the point where they had to really, like Jacob wrestling with the angel when his name got changed to Israel, to just see what's going on. So that's what we're doing. We're telling you to put on the glasses, i.e. open your third eye so you can see what's going on. But let me keep going. The Fifth Element, The Woman King, Black Mirror, The Fourth Kind, Doctor Strange, The Arrival, Moana, Colony. Colony is a series that it's actually reflecting where we're going in terms of society. So Colony, Adjustment Bureau, Captive State, Fallen with Denzel Washington, Us, The Man Who Fell to Earth, The Truman Show, Midnight Special, and Midnight Meat Train, Alien, The Day the Earth Stood Still. And there are many, many, many more, right? But that gives you a flavor. Some of them are old, some of them are fairly new, but all in all, these movies are recommended for you to watch. And the master teacher gives us recommendations as to movies too. Okay, so going back to the question, there's a scroll on our website on the connect page, right, which is called Is Haile Selassie the Christ? When you click on the image, it will open up so you can actually read it. And this book the master teacher put out in the late 80s, early 90s. And it answers the question of what's Rastafarians. Now, you have different types of Rastas. And like with religion, in Christianity, Islam, Judaism, you always have those who try to practice and live, a wholesome life, live healthily. They're like, vegans. They use herbs, as in not the smoking herbs, but they actually practice. They practice being cultural, living with nature. They're in the mountains, etc. Right? So you always have those who do the right thing, and then you have those who kind of just like wear locks or dreadlocks, and they're not really, practicing. They say, the ones where they say they don't eat pork, but then they go out or sleep with people that eat pork, and it's like you're taking that in anyway because you're exchanging bodily fluids. But yeah, a slight joke, but still. Okay, let's talk about, because Haile Selassie is really where they call him, he was an emperor. So let me answer. It starts off with saying, I'm just jumping to page 4. It says, was Selassie the king of Ethiopia? Answer, yes, he was the emperor of Ethiopia, but that's all he was. He was not a worldwide influence, and he was not a spiritual influence. He was not a Messiah or the son of Yahweh, which has been mistranslated to mean the son of God. He was also not a religious man, thus he wasn't a religious influence. However, he was known to be a tyrant and a betrayer. If you read his history, you will see he was an ordinary lawyer and a strategist. And since you use quotes that apply to Jesus, who you also say is God, and pretend as if they are talking about his imperial majesty, means that you apparently think he is Jesus. So do you mean to tell me that God comes down to earth, or Jesus returns to earth and becomes a lawyer? Come on. And then has to get educated by Europeans in order to carry out his divine mission on earth as a savior, not in right wisdom. But for those of you who want to remain under the spell of Kingu, Leviathan, and these spook-filled religions of mythology, and for those of you who want to wish upon a star and look forward to going to some garden beyond the stars. And as for those of you men who don't want to take on the responsibilities as the Elohim or gods or Natharu nowadays, but want to depend on apparitions and spirits and spooks and goblins that are to come out of the sky and save you, so that you do not have to take on the responsibilities given to you by your fathers, the Natharu. Basically, in this old school, he was obviously teaching us the Anunnaki stories, and every school we went through, we were submerged in it. As the caretakers of this planet Earth and the rulers of the same, just continue listening to these religious leaders and their illogical reasoning. For this spell to be removed from people, we must first make up our minds to give back religion. So you Hindus can take your religion back, you Christians can have your religion back, you Muslims and Jews can have your religion back, and you Rastafarians, right, can have your religion back. It is time for you to link back into your ancestors as written on the walls in the Great Pyramids and written in the Sumerian tablets called the Enuma Elish, the Atana, and the Atrahasis, to name a few, where you can see yourself. Don't link yourself to a religion, be it Copticism, because people talk about the Coptics, or whatever, given by the popes, pastors, preachers, monsignors, and the cardinals, who all are a part of the plot. All right, so it says, just who was Haile Selassie? Haile Selassie received a Western education at a French Catholic mission in Harar, Ethiopia. In 1910 AD, at the age of 18, Haile Selassie was appointed governor of Sidama, a city in Ethiopia. In 1912 AD, before he became 20 years old, he was the governor of Harar, Muleta, and Sali. In 1928 AD, at the age of 36, he became king of Showa, and in 1930 AD, at the age of 38, he was crowned emperor of Ethiopia. Okay? As you can see, Haile Selassie was not born a ruler, he worked his way up. However, Ethiopia is not the whole world, just one small place. You mean to tell me that your God has to go through all of these different levels and experiences just to eventually become the ruler of Ethiopia at the age of 38? If he was God, shouldn't he have been able to become the ruler? And if he was just the governor of a country, then that means that he had to be appointed by someone who is higher than him, someone higher than God. According to you, God is the supreme and the highest. You told me, what kind of sense does that make? I suggest you get your stories and facts straight before you go labeling your leader God or making the implication that he is Christ. Wasn't Haile born in Jerusalem, which is one of the reasons why it is believed that he is Jesus Christ? Answer: Haile Selassie was born in Harar province, Ethiopia, not in Jerusalem. I repeat, he was born. He did not come down as Jesus went up. Haile had a beginning of days when he was born, July the 23rd, 1892 AD, and an end of days when he died, August the 27th, 1975 AD. He was the nephew of Menelik II. Menelik II took on this name centuries after Menelik I. After Menelik II's death in 1913 AD, Haile Selassie, along with Menelik II's daughter, Weziro Zodito, succeeded his reign. Okay? And Menelik II's grandson, Lij Yasu, had succeeded him first before Selassie and Zodutu, but he, Lij Yasu, was deposed from the throne. right? It's going into your question. Haile Selassie's father was Rast Mokenen, right? World Mikhail, who was Menelik's chief diplomat and soldier, who took care of his horses, his Clydesdale Royal Fleet. Ras Mokenen's mother was Wezaro Tanei, if I'm pronouncing it properly, work. And she was the daughter of Selassie. Selassie's mother was Wazero, that's Wayzaro, Yashimabet Ihita Miriam. She died in 1894 AD when he was 2 years old. He had 10 brothers and sisters who died during childhood. A boating accident. He was the only one saved. When Selassie was 15 years old in 1907 AD, his father died, and shortly afterwards his guardian, Ras Tasma, was poisoned. Question: if Haile Selassie is of the line of the Prophet Solomon, where did the name Haile Selassie come from? Answer: Haile Selassie is an Amharic name, not an Arabic Hebrew name. You can't tell me that a change of names was a result of the migration of Solomon's seed away from the holy city called Jerusalem, whose ancient name is Kadesh. He should still have had a Hebrew name. If Haile Selassie is the lion of the tribe of Judah, then somewhere along the line his name should be Bar Yahuda or Judah, and not Rastafari, son of Ras Mokenen and Wezaro Yashimabet. His name should have Judah, and it should reflect the name Yahuda or Judah, because it says in Ecclesiastes 7 verse 1, and I quote, "A good name is better than a precious ointment." So to identify who he is, the lion of the tribe of Judah cannot be born with a name like Robert. He has to be given a name unbeknown to him and unbeknown to the people that would name him. He'd be given a sacred name that would identify him. Therefore, his name would have been David, by Yishe or Jesse. Psalm 89, 20-21, Jeremiah 39, Isaiah 11:1, which means beloved son of the existing Yahuwah. There was a Yeshua bar Joseph, or Jesus, son of Joseph, 2,000 years ago, meaning Savior, son of Jesus. However, to the Hebrews, the Messiah has not yet come, and based on the above reference quotes, when he comes, his name will be HaMashiach, David bar Yisha, and not Haile Selassie. And there's a scroll that the master wrote years ago called The Real Messiah, scroll number 34, and Fake God's False Christ, scroll 105. I have both of those. Question: well, if Haile descended from the tribe of Israel, shouldn't his name or the name of his forefathers be in the Bible? Answer: yes. However, it is not. This is how you know that the story of Haile Selassie's life was made up by some poor, delusioned Negroes who want to be important, or at least have their leader look strong and important enough so they can look good and say our leader was the great Haile Selassie, who was the elect of Yah, or comes out as Jah, the emperor of Ethiopia, when your great leader has not published or produced one piece of literature for the upliftment of the people. As far as the name Menelik is concerned, Menelik as well as Haile cannot be found in the Torah, known as the 5 Scrolls of Moses. Most of the names of the families of Israel in the era of the scroll of Zechariah on down came out of the old scrolls. For instance, the name Joshua, even down to Jesus, and even when they said Yahshua, which is nothing but another form of Yehoshua, Joshua, was used. Then Jesus' adopted father's name, Yosef, Arabic Yusuf, English Joseph, and his mother's name, Maryam, Arabic Miriam was used also. That's like accepting the name Jew for Judah or Judea and then say any Khazar from Russia who converts to the Ashkenazim sect or any Spaniard from Spain who converts to the Sephardim sect and declares themselves the original Hebrews or original Israelites or original tribe of Judah just because of their conversion and creation of the name Jew has the right. That's wrong. All right, let me see if I'm going to skip and go. So I'm going to skip a bit because I want to spend a lot of time on this, but you can read it on our website for free. Haile Selassie can't prove his own descendancy, nor can you. I can. Question. The names Haile nor Menelik can be found in the scriptures, but the name Ras can, which is a part of his father's name. Doesn't this prove his lineage? 18, that goes on to page 19. Answer. The name Ras can be found in the scriptures, but it's Rosh, which was the name of one of Benjamin's son, who was of the children of Israel. Rosh can be in Genesis 46, verse 21, and I quote, and the sons Benjamin were Bela and Bercha and Ashbel, Jira, Naaman, Ehi, and Rosh, Mopin and Hupim, and Ard. Rosh means head and comes from the root word Roshi, meaning head or chief priest. There is also a seed for Shua that can be found in Ezekiel 23:23, and I quote, the Babylonians and all the Chaldeans, Pekod and Shua and Koa, and all the Assyrians with them. Shua means rich from the root word shorva, which means to cry out, shout, and even Amhar can be found. But Amhar cannot be found verbatim in the Torah. It is found in writings about the Torah, such as the ancient Sumerian tablets, the Enuma Elish, and the Gilgamesh epics. And he's got a whole family tree here, with Rosh or Ras at the top, with the wives. And then it goes on to the sons, and all the way to where he's got Amhara, from whom the dialect called Amharic or Giz came from. So you claim Haile Selassie came from Rosh, Ras, in Aramic Hebrew meaning head, and his fourth wife, whose name was Shoah. However, Ras' third wife, Abyssinia, had a fifth son named Amhara, and this is where the Amharic dialect originated from. That means that Shoah's son and Amhara were living together during the time that Amharic was developing. If this is the case, what were they speaking before Amharic? And since everyone was speaking Amharic, that means that everyone, including Shoah's son, was under Amhar, just like during Aram's time when everyone spoke Aramic Hebrew, or during Akkad time when everyone spoke Akkadian or Phoenician, refer to what is God's language. That's scroll number 96. So when you make a statement like Haile Selassie is a descendant of David, show me name for name. He begot him and he begot him. The same way it's done in the scriptures in which you follow, called the Bible. The same way that we make statements out of Sudan that we are direct descendants from the Mahdi and Fatima to Hassan and to Saliha, to Fatima and Ali, to Muhammad and Khadija, to Kida and Rehana, to Ishmael and Fatima, to Abraham and Hagar, to Noah and Naamah, to Adam and Eve. We give name for name, husband and wife, generation after generation after generation. If you are authentic, then do the same thing. Give me some names that start from Haile Selassie and give his father, son, all the way back to Menelik I, and then from Menelik I straight back to David. Of course, you won't be able to because you don't know how. Then it shows a picture of Jesse, son son of Jesse, David, etc. Right? So I'm saying to say to you that this whole scroll goes into the details of where Rastafarianism was born, and then they tie it into the coronation of the Queen and claiming the Queen bowed down to him, and he. But the thing is that when you read this scroll, it goes into so much detail that it's fine, and this is what religious people do. They put somebody on a pedestal, and they try to relate incidences and things to say this is what makes that person who they are, even if the person themselves don't claim to be that. And a religion is born out of that. It is just so simple to build and make up a religion and get people to follow you. I mean, the amount of times we get questions that people are calling us saying, I had this dream, can you explain it for me? And we always say, look, we can't explain your dream, but it'll be so easy for us, because this is what happens with people that start to, charge money, and they start being what you call, in the Bible, they refer to them as sorcerers, people that people that basically say they can read your dreams, read your palms, do all of these things. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying people don't have certain gifts, but it opens up a situation where people are claiming things that don't actually belong to them. He never actually really liked the Rastafarians. Even when he went to Jamaica, he never wore locks. He kind of shunned them. And yet, they build him up to be conquering Lion of Judah, King of Kings, and all this stuff where he never ever, subscribed to that. So there's a question here: what about the Rastafarians who call themselves the Nazarites? In fact, before that, let me read you something. I won't dwell, like I said, I can go into it, but this actually. Okay, yeah, let me read this bit on page 58, because I'm jumping just to get to other questions. So it says in the scriptures, when it speaks in reference to hair, it uses the word locks, right? This is in Ezekiel 44:20. This is in terms of the locks and the Rastafaris and wearing the dreads, right? 44:20, Numbers 6:5. Many people, especially those who were influenced by Bob Marley, assume that the word locks means letting your hair lock by itself. They call it dreadlocks. The word dread is not found in the scriptures, but the word locks is. A claim of one Rastafarian is that the name dreadlocks does not mean that the hairstyle itself is it's dreaded. It means it is a hairstyle that symbolizes the dread felt by the Caucasian race, or the fear they have of the dreaded Rastaman or dreadmen. Right, so what about the Rastafarians who call themselves Nazarites? There's a group of Rastafarians who think they are Nazarites. Let me tell you right now that they are not. The Nazarites were dedicated to the service of the Most High. In no way can Nazarites be compared to present-day groups who do not cut their hair. The Nazarites followed such laws like abstaining from strong drink, not mooring the corners of their beards, etc. There are two groups of Rastafarians. One group is known for the amount of marijuana, also called ganja, or reefer, that they smoke. The other group, who are considered the real Rastafarians, this is what I was saying at the beginning, live in the mountains and practice a pure way of life. They refer to these who sell drugs and smoke marijuana and hashish as rascals. The Rastafarians use Ezekiel 44:20 to justify their wearing dreadlocks, and I quote, "Neither shall they shave their heads, not suffer their locks to grow long. They shall only poll their heads." The Hebrew word in this quote for poll is the root word kacham, which means to cut, clip, to trim, to shear. This is in reference to keeping the excess hair growth neat and intact. The scriptures state you should not shave the beard, yet it is law to. The above quote says to keep the edges trimmed, polled, mishwak, which is the Hebrew word for maud, meaning disfigurement or the face, corruption, from the root word shochath, meaning to destroy, to corrupt, or be mauled. In addition to polling the hair, the quote states not to suffer the locks to grow long. Suffer means to endure or tolerate. The scriptures again confirm that the locks should not be allowed to grow long, extreme, in excess. They also use the quote Numbers 6:5 and Leviticus 21:5 to justify wearing dreadlocks. When you base the wearing of your dreadlocks on the scriptures, you should seek a clearer understanding, because the locks mentioned in the scriptures was something totally different and has nothing to do with dreads. If you choose to wear dreadlocks in your hair, it's your business. However, when you try to use the scriptures to try and justify your beliefs and misguide innocent souls while doing this, that's when I have a problem with it. So there is no proof in the scriptures that Rastafarians are Nazarites, and no, Nazarites did not wear dreadlocks in their hair. Haile Selassie didn't even wear dreadlocks. Is it possible to combine customs or ceremonies of Christianity with Hebraic customs or ceremonies? It is said that Haile Selassie's coronation in 1930 AD, this is what I was talking about before, which was held in the Cathedral of St. George in Addis Ababa, was a Hebraic Christian ceremony. There is no such thing. The original Hebrews do not hold Hebraic Christian ceremonies. The original Hebrews do not and never have believed in Jesus Christ as the Messiah. Haile Selassie was a Christian, a Coptic Christian, not a Hebrew. And there's a picture of him. Notice the cross of the church in his hand. The picture below proves it. Notice the cross in his hand. The name of that cross is the Coptic cross. You know, and it goes on and on and on and on, explains and breaks down why this, Rastafarianism and what, people are following today is not, it's made, a lot of it is made up, just like other religions. But I would suggest anyone who's interested in learning about, the whole Rastafarianism and Rastafarian movement and Haile Selassie to read this scroll. Goes into a great detail. I could read all of it, but I'm not going to, because we want to get back to the questions in the chat. But I hope that helped. Yeah? Okay, here we go. I know some people, we address all religions, all people. Lady MG, thanks so much for your donation. Much appreciate love. The Master, the same with you. Armani Jacobs, thank you. We're going to address all the questions in the chat. The Master Teacher is here, right? His job is to what? Come with the truth to everyone on the planet. So he's not biased in any way. So he tells the truth exactly how it is, and it's to help you grow and know the facts. And some people hold on to different schools or different religions, and when they hear the truth, sometimes it can be bittersweet, but it's to help you, not to put you down. Okay, Valerie, Rahubat. Okay, wow. Let me go back a bit. There's more. Okay, let me start from. I want to learn the language to only know. Yeah, the language is important for all of us. We have to learn. All right, I've fallen asleep when trying to meditate. Chanting may be better. Is it equal to meditation, or should it be both needed? They're both needed, and you're right. The reason it takes practice. It takes a long time before people can actually meditate properly, because when you meditate and you start to relax, you slow down your breathing, and because of the stresses of the hustle and bustle, if you are like doing a 9 to 5, or you're constantly like stressed by not just even doing a 9 to 5, just the world and the frequencies and the energies around, when you actually calm down and start to slow down your mind, you start to get so relaxed that it's easy to fall asleep. That's why you have to you have to practice. But yeah, chanting obviously is more involved, because as you're chanting, it'll be hard for you to fall asleep chanting. But you have to practice both to answer your question. Hey, Sherlyn Gums, Rahul back. Tears of joy to have the truth, and we are not forgotten. You know what? It's so true. I mean, we take it for granted sometimes, but imagine like the stress of not knowing something. You know, in the beginning of the actual facts, the master teacher explains like it's like when you don't know something, it gives you stress. Like imagine you don't know where your house keys are. Or nowadays when people don't know where their phone is, they're panicking. And if you had to go somewhere to an address and you don't know where you're going, you're getting lost, you're asking people, you take the wrong turn, you're just kind of in chaos. But when you know where you're going, like you put the postcode or the zip code into your sat nav, you just relax. It just takes you there. But you still have to be involved, because these sat navs today could take you off over a mountain. So you have to still be involved. But I'm saying like the stress of knowing where your keys are, knowing where your phone is, knowing if I ask you who your parents are in your mind, you see them, you know them. And then I ask you who God is, you don't have if you have an image, it's going to be of probably the white Caucasian with the beard that has been painted in your mind by, Michelangelo and the 16th chapel, this, just to give you an image. But I'm just saying that to know the truth and have the truth and have someone that can give you the truth gets rid of all that stress. Okay, don't forget you can, the online course. Yeah, let me address the online course and our book. The question we get asked the most, right, is what's the first book I should read? People that are just coming to Wu-Sabat. Or what can I do? What one book can I read to catch up and be up to speed, or to know as much as you know? And we're like, okay, let's put something together to address that question, because we get asked that question so many times. In fact, every single day. So that's why we put the online course and the book together, because it's like, when you go to, for those who go to college or university or even a new job for the first time, where, like you got to get a timetable, you got to know where your lessons are, you got to know which, do you know what I mean, which theaters or where you have to go. And you have different types of students. You got students that arrive at campus, they've already gone online, they've checked everything out, they've planned their schedule, put it in their calendar, and they're very organized. And then you have other students who, even in the first few weeks, they're still trying to find their way around. They don't know when their lessons are, or they go late. So what we're saying is the same. When you go to a new job, if you don't have nice people that are gonna give you an orientation and show you, this is where you go for lunch, or the cafeteria, or the printers, or the people you go to for stuff, you're going to be in chaos because you don't know. So what we've done is given you an orientation of, okay, Wu-Sabat. What is Wu-Sabat? Who's the master teacher? How did it come about? Which books to read, etc., etc. We put that all together so that it saves you that stress. All right. Is honey good for consumption? Yes, but depends on the type of honey, because today so much honey is just full of sugar. It's synthetic, it's not real. So you want to get honey that is actually, natural, pure honey, and not having a little bit of honey and then loads and loads of sugar or some other sweeteners. So we have many versions of honey. I'm not going to promote any brands, but there's natural form of sugar like sugar cane or honey, and agave. There's many alternatives to sugar, because sugar, especially the processed sugar, is not good for you. It's addictive. Okay, Valerie, Rahubat, this is the beginning of the new 24,000 year cycle. What happens to the souls that don't make the 144,000? I am a member of OSM Tautat. Yeah, great. We really appreciate, love you for being a member of OSM because that's the way to be in the know. You get it first. All right. All right. The 24,000 year is a cycle that comes around every 24,000 years. And different cycles are referred by different names, like the procession, which is every 26,000 years, or like 2 cycles round of 24,000 years gets rounded up to 50,000 years, which they refer to as an epoch. Obviously, the 24,000 years referred to as an equinox. The problem is that because most people now have been given this biblical reference of living, if you're the maximum you're going to live to is 120 years, based on the quote in the Bible, most people on average don't even live to that. They like, these days, like 60, 70 is like you've lived long, going to 70, 80s, right? So when you haven't been around for thousands of years, and the Adamites were only created 6,000 years ago, and then the religions that come out of them are like if we walked backwards, Islam's 1400 years old, the New Testament and, Christianity's like 2000 years old. The Old Testament, or what they call the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, goes back 4,004 years old. So all of that is within the 6,000 year frame, which is just one part of the 24,000 years, because the 24,000 years is split into 6,000 years, composing of a moon cycle, sun cycle, moon cycle, sun cycle, right? And so when this new 24,000 year cycle starts, things change. And our ancestors that are ontologists, because they've seen these cycles come and go so many times, that they can pretty much predict what's going to happen because they've been around and they've written it down and have records and a lot of tablets and written on the walls and stories passed down from generations to generations and kept pure. So when you say what happens to the souls that don't make the 144,000, the soul is relating to your journey as a being that is supposed to come to this physical world, experience this physical world, and go through whatever your purpose is here, and then you go back to being a soul, and that soul eventually goes back to what we call pa'ut, or the all, expanding and don't come back. So that's a separate thing. That's a cycle that would always take place. The 144,000 that are chosen, they're being taken away because they have, let's say, for example, like you want to take astronauts into space. They have to choose, not even that, let's make it even simpler than that. Do you know, like, if you want to be a pilot, you have to go through some serious, rigorous tests to make sure you're of sound mind. You're not somebody that, is going to be drunk or be an alcoholic. You don't take, drugs. You have to basically be able to be responsible enough, because you're flying a craft with hundreds of people's lives, at your mercy. So not anybody can become a pilot. You have to go through rigorous tests all the time. It's the same way when you're dealing with someone who's going to be responsible. They have to be able to make the grade. If you got bad eyesight, there's so many things you have to be able to deal with. So the 144,000 are those that have, they're elite in the sense of they've developed themselves and they can be trusted with receiving their barothry gland. It's like getting your superpowers back, It's like not anybody would be Superman and maintain the integrity of showing off or ego or showing all the powers he's got. So Superman has to have the persona of Clark Kent, and he only uses his power responsibly when he needs to help people and save people. Not, oh, I can go and rob banks because I've got the power, or I can use my X-ray vision to do silly things. So what we're saying is 144,000 are those beings that have been groomed and they have put in the work to be able to receive back their crown and to get that gland replaced so they can have full usage of their brain power. Yeah, so they then gonna be able to come back and help and teach those who survive the calamities and certain things that are going to take place. So when you say what happens to the souls that don't make the 144,000, if you don't make it, you're still utilizing the knowledge and the information to be a better person and to get yourself ready for your transition when you transmute from this physical world to the next level. So you're still going to, if you survive all the calamities, this is why Wu-Sabat is here, to help and teach people and to know what's coming so they can be prepared. It's happening right now in front of our eyes when we're saying to people, put on those glasses, like I was saying from the movie They Live. Put on the glasses so you can see what's going on. Organize, stop eating crap because you're making your health bad. Stop doing certain things, stop thinking a certain way, stop giving off certain negative energy, stop being around people who are pulling you to do things that are not for your elevation. Like as an adult, you've got to put away childish things and start to be responsible. So yeah, it depends. Like if you're doing the right thing and you're in the right place and you're being guided by the master teacher, then you will be okay. All right, let's keep going. So Ken, what is the goal of meditation? I'm missing something. Do you experience connection when you do it? Yeah, again, with meditation, it's not something you want instant gratification. It takes time. It takes time to be able to meditate properly. And you got to just be, the 3 C's, as you see us explain on our website, Disruptive Solutions. The first C is courage. You have to be courageous to stand for truth and to give up the things you've been doing for so many years, the religions and the wrong information, that you have to be courageous enough to go, you know what, this doesn't make sense. I don't care how many people don't accept that I'm now going a different way. So being courageous, or the courage to make a change. The second one is you have to be committed to something. Like there's nothing more worthwhile to be committed to than to be transforming yourself and making yourself a better version of yourself, and then helping people and living truth, and then helping others to elevate. So you have to be committed to what you say you're going to do. And the last one is consistency. You have to be consistent. And anybody who starts to learn something new will tell you, like a musician has, or whatever you choose. Some people are born with natural abilities by way of their DNA or their epigenetics. However, you can be great as well by just being smart and repeating and working on something over and over again. When you see your basketball or whatever celebrities make that shot and they get it in the basket, or in what is that what they call baskets? Yeah, baskets. Yeah, they've practiced that shot like a million times and never got it in. So it's not a failure. It's you learn from the experience and you keep refining and perfecting it. You got to do that with everything. So meditation is not something you just sit down, fold your legs, close your eyes, and wonder why nothing's happening. In fact, that attitude is going to delay you getting the results. So you got to be able to be consistent with it and stay committed. Keep doing it for, I don't know how long you've been doing it for, but it takes years. You can start getting benefits straight away, because the mind is to calm your mind, because you're saying, what is it for? What is the goal? The goal is to calm the mind so that you can receive information and be connected and pull, you know, pull from the higher realms. And then in time, you'll be able to receive messages because you get messages all the time, but you're like, you have a radio and your radio in your head is not tuned into the right frequency. So people call it receiving inspiration or receiving messages or downloads or getting clear messages from your ancestors or higher beings that are vibrating on those higher realms. So, it helps you with your health as well because you're not as stressed, you're calm. Your mind is the most powerful thing you have, so you can think clearly using sound right reasoning, which then means your actions are reflected by way of your mental state. All right. So don't give up. Keep at it. And if you don't know how to, we'll give you a few tips. But literally, you gotta set aside a specific time, and you're gonna be focused on achieving something. Like, okay, I'm just gonna be able to sit in silence, and I'm going to focus on not being distracted by the noises that I'm hearing outside. And after a while, you accomplish that, and then you keep going. It's like it takes time, but just it's like if you want to learn to play a musical instrument. If you don't practice, you don't get what we call, being dexterity, meaning that your memory, it's called muscle memory, will remember you doing something over and over and over again to the point where you stop doing it with effort because it's a programming that you're doing to yourself. Okay, all right, let's keep going. I wanted to ask, or this is from Mahaletsi Melissa, if I'm pronouncing your name properly. I wanted to ask or find out if there's any plans to set up Wu-Sabat branches here in Africa. Of course, absolutely. I'm from South Africa because the missionary activities are still big here in Africa. Of course, we're worldwide. That's why we're called the United Sabians worldwide. We want, in Africa, well, even here, but predominantly in Africa, on one road you can have like 100 churches. On both sides of the roads, every few feet you see a new church, and they all maybe singing, chant, doing different things, and just so much confusion. So we want to have branches, stores, temples, sanctuaries everywhere. And this comes by way of us coming together and working together to make this happen so we can counteract and bring those people. We have to, like they say, become fishers of men and women and help people come out of the spell. And the way to do it, work with us. Hope you're in the Telegram group. Anyone who's on this live and not in the Telegram group is being posted in the chat. Join the Telegram group so we can work with those people who are serious. Because that's another thing. You got talkers. People can talk a lot. They can say, I'm going to do this. I want to do this. But then they don't have what I just said, that courage. Or they might have the courage, but they're not committed to it. Or they might be committed, but they're not consistent. And all three are required to be successful. So you have to work with those who are already doing what you want to achieve and learn and let them help you. And we're here to help anyone who wants to really take the mantle on, spread the word about Pana Babyanun, and open a store or have a community and help others. So yes, we definitely want to hear from you. Sherlyn Gums, Mrs. Good day, I have a question. In the sacred records of Nate Aferti Atumre, it says creation took place a period of 6 days. It was brought to a completion on the seventh day after this creation. Okay, I have to skip someone to read. I was going to say, where's the question? Human beings needed 112 corrections, of which only 76 have been done up until the year 1998 AD. Thus, you need 36 more corrections. When and how are the remaining 36 corrections to be made? Right. So if you read the Master's Secrets. Um, I don't know if I have it with me. I think it's series number 3. If you're in the Telegram chat, we will give you the right one. Or if there are any student teachers in here, we might be able to give you the right one. But it actually tells you that those corrections have now been made. And it also goes on to explain that it's not just on an individual basis. You're dealing with us being judged as a species or being corrected. So it's like, have you ever watched those TV shows where you have 2 teams or a team and they have to accomplish something, but different people are responsible for different aspects, but they collectively either make it or win the task or not. So it's not just like it's just based on an individual basis. This is one of the lessons we have to learn, that we have to know that we work on ourselves individually, but we also work together collectively, because no one can actually get you to do the things you have to do. Like, for example, if you have to meditate, if you have to chant, if you have to exercise, if you have to eat the right things, no one's going to come and force you to do that. But by you doing that, you change your energy field, you change your aura, you change the way you think, you change the way you behave, which in turn means that when you're around others who are like you, you're going to resonate on the same frequency and vibration. And so if you just imagine a group of people or the world, or different people with colored lights, right? Let's just call those the ones that are vibrating and doing the right things are green, the color green. So that, like when you look from an aerial view or from an aeroplane or airplane, and you're looking at lights, small tiny lights, you can see where there's a cluster of lights. So everyone that is vibrating or emanating the green light, you'll be able to see. But imagine they're dotted in different parts. And if they all came together in one location, you'll be able to see that green light. But then you're going to also see the ones who are going in the disagreeable direction, where they're not looking after themselves, they're not eating properly, they're not meditating, they're not mindful, they're not showing divine love or a shuk for other beings, for the planet, for the animals, for nature. They are emanating the yellow or the amber light, or even a red light. So what we're saying is that you do have to work on yourself, but it's also a collective thing where we are seen when we're together, when we gather. All right. So those corrections have been done. You have to come up to date and read some of the master secrets that go into that to give you an updated version. The mermaid video was awesome. Oh, thank you, man. This is like, you've reminded me. Let's get that to 100,000 as well. We're getting our videos to 100,000, and you don't realize how much, how much something as small as you sharing the video, liking the videos, really helps us tremendously. So yeah, if you haven't seen that mermaid video, and there are more to come, we're gonna give you more and more jewels. You're in the winning team. You're in the right camp. You can Wu-Sabat. This is why we love the master teacher so much, and we miss him so much, and we just want him home. Like you say, sometimes it brings tears to our eyes. What he has had to endure and go through, but you have to use that energy to help us in the fight, because the fight cannot stop. We must succeed. We will succeed. But I'm saying that to say that it's literally his words. We're reading his words, and we are on the winning team, because you can take Wu-Sabat, try it against anybody on the planet. Christians, Muslims, Jews, scientists, historians, archaeologists, name it. You can go and be able to speak basic common sense. Wu-Sabat gets you to think. to use your mind and just think and like, does that make sense? Make it make sense. And you'll see that Wu-Sabat is real and it works. And when the master teacher is telling us he has 76 trillion years of information to share with us, OSM vision, our soul matters, it's not going anywhere. Like, we'll never run out. But you have people out there who have been teaching from the source, but never mentioned the source. And they can only go so far because he can keep going. So, old timers, people that were with the master teacher that, went astray or decided or didn't realize the full plan of what's unfolding, everyone's welcome back home. Whatever school you were a part of and you decided, you know what, I don't have the patience, or because of his incarceration, many people turn their backs or are scared. No, come back home, because he's always said you're welcome back, but don't come back with any chaos. Come back and let's be in love and unity. Let's work together. Let's free the master teacher. But yes, so help us with the videos, like them. The mermaid video was the part of that called The Formation. And yeah, there's so much more we have in store for you. We have so much. And remember that we have the documentary coming for you once we reach 100,000 subscribers. And we're almost there. We need your help to do that. So yes, let's get Wu-Sabat to the world. Okay, let's keep going. The mermaid video was awesome. Thank you, Lady MG. Where did you donate to? Oh, okay, sorry, that's OSM. Westworld, one of the best series. Absolutely, Draco. Yeah, because they tell you in these cinemas, although they say movies, meaning moving pictures, but cinema is the original name because it's like tell lies visually, or the cinema, the sinning, but they make it into entertainment. This is the whole thing of referring to something like science fiction, which is a contradiction because science deals with facts, yeah, not fiction. So movies, they will tell you in your face real things that are happening or that have happened or that are going to happen, because they may be in contact with some of these beings or inspired by them. But then they will always have a twist where they take you off on a tangent or make it out like it's just fantasy or it's not real. But the more and more things are being exposed, the more people are waking up. And someone else said, Sunra said, man who fell to earth. That's another good one. Exactly. We give you the jewels. So if you haven't got any entertainment, watch some of these movies because they're also educational. Stay away from Hollywood. Again, let me address that dark side. We live in a world of polarity. You can't avoid things. It's just that you can have a shield. Yeah. You can have what we call a psychic self-defense. People think that, for example, I'm going to stop smoking, so I can't be anywhere around somebody who smokes. Yes, that makes sense. But the test is being around them and still not smoking. Then you're over it. You know that they're not having an influence over you. It's not hiding and putting your head in the sand or locking yourself away, because you're in the world. You're just not. You can be in it, but not of it. If I'm not saying that the wrong way around. Yeah, you be in the world, but not of it. So you can be amongst people and know that they can't have an effect or an influence on you because you're that strong in your convictions and in Wu-Sabat. So yeah, it's the test is more when you're around things and you're around cakes and you don't want to eat the sugar and the cakes and whatever anymore, and you're able to do that. Not when you crumble and fall to pieces, when you are around temptations, as they call it. And I'm not even saying go and be around it. I'm just saying you're stronger when you're around things and you're still able to maintain your position. Okay. Is our death predestined? Okay, go on. Oh, yeah. Yes, C double, thank you. Much, much appreciate, love your donation. Okay, you're saying if Palladians seeded Nibiru, that means white people were around before the Anunnaki who are melanated. Why do people not inform whites of their history? Me being melanated myself, I'm tired of biases. No, that's not actually correct. Palladians did not seed Nibiru. Nibiru is a planet, like a planetoid craft, like the Earth is. Can you imagine? Nibiru is 2 to 3 times the size of what the planet Earth is currently. And imagine this planet is a craft, which it is. And so you have different beings, different races in different continents, in different parts of the world. So when you're looking at constellations like the Pleiades or within Orion, you have different species or different beings that reside there, right? And so the original beings will always be like the Parnatharu, because from an every race on the planet is linked to these races that come from the skies, or what we call the heavens, right? From Orion, which is known as Oranos in the Greek in the Bible, and you have Pleiades, you have Arcturus, you have Sirius, you have many different places. So the Pleiadians did not seed Nibiru, but different beings are on Nibiru. And you said that means white people were around before the Anunnaki. Again, when you're saying white people, now that's a whole different term in the sense that, you know, the Pleiadians and white people are two different beings. It's just that they use their genetics in the gravitation of the Adamites, but the Pleiadians are melanin recessive as well. They have the pale skin, blonde hair, blue eyes, and so they wouldn't be the original to be there before the Anunnaki. So that's back to front. And melanated, everyone is melanated. It's just some are dominant and some are recessive or unable to produce melanin in abundance. Why do people not inform whites of their history? They do. The Pleiadians are the ones that were in contact with people like Hitler, with, like the presidents of the United States government. And if you look at George Washington, and you look at even, we know it as the Ben, but they call it the obelisk in Washington. It faces, if you look at the constellation that is facing, we have that in the I think it's in the scroll 18 plus 1, 18 plus 1, 36 or 37. Oh, I've got it with me. Let me see if I can find it and I'll show you. 37 genes of the mitochondrial. I'm trying to see if I've got it. Oh, here you go. Right. Oops. This scroll, actual fact number 22. 18 plus 18 plus 1 equals 37 genes of the mitochondrial DNA. Let me see if I can find if it's the right scroll. I'm pretty sure it is. This goes into the whole, like, the gravitation of how the Pleiadians received or were given the formula to graft. You got Pleiadians in here, look. Pleiadian child, Pleiadian woman. Let me see if I can find that page. It's a very interesting. Yeah, here you go. Right. If you look on page 16, I don't know if you can see that, but if you look on page 16 of this scroll, it shows you. In fact, if you go from before page 17, it shows you the different, like figure 15 Pleiades star system is a cluster of 7 stars that form a certain view forms the six-pointed star. Figure 16. Venus, the larger and brighter star on the right, encounters Pleiades. This is the sign of Nana, return. Make note of Venus in the Bible, Revelation 22:16. But this is the one I really wanted to show you. If you look at that, it shows you what we call the obelisk or the benben, and it's facing and pointing to Pleiades. And this is diagram 5. It says, illustration of the Washington Monument, an Egyptian obelisk aligned with the Pleiades star system and featuring the blazing star of Venus with the ladder of Jacob in its background. Revelation 8:10, Isaiah 14:12. Revelation 8:10, and the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp, blazing like a torch, and it fell upon the third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of waters. Isaiah 14:2. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? Carrying on to 12, sleep. And he dreamed and beheld a ladder set up on the earth, and the top of it reached to the heaven, and behold, the angels of God ascending and descending on it. 13, and behold, the Lord stood above it and said, I am the Lord God of Abraham thy father, and the God of Isaac. The land whereon thou leadst to thee will I give it, and to thy seed. So the master goes on to explain, so Jacob's ladder extended up there, not all the way up to outer space, and he could see Malachim, angels, going up and down it. He even saw the Lord standing above it, who spoke to him, saying, I am the Yahweh Elohim, existing one of the gods of Abraham, your father, and the God of Isaac. So it was a kabad, or a craft. The glory of God he saw with a ramp leading up to it. As so many have said over the years, they saw from a UFO. And then it shows you the, as I was mentioning, the figure 14 with George Washington's Masonic apron. Yeah. Masonic apron displaying the 7 stars of Pleiades, further indicating Pleiadian contact. So if you look here, you can see George Washington. And I'll just read that little piece and then we can stop. It says, so it's no coincidence the Washington Monument, an Egyptian obelisk in Washington, D.C., standing 555 feet tall, is lined up with Kama Pleiades. It has also been suggested that in 1777 at Valley Forge, George Washington saw green-skinned extraterrestrials who laid out the USA map for him. And then it shows you the figure. It says, figure 13. This 1860 Masonic print of George Washington displays in its background the 7 stars of Kama Pleiades, forming the 6-pointed star with one in its center, the shooting star of Venus, Revelation 22:16, and a ladder leading up to a spacecraft, the ladder of Jacob. And it goes into that. So they have been in contact with. So when you say, go back to your question, when you say, why do people not inform whites of their history? They do know they are actually in contact with these beings. But you're right in terms of, it depends on which, I know what you mean by white people, even though we know there's no black and white people in that sense. But what it is the elite, there's only like the 1% or to the 3% that really know what's going on, because they suppress and hide information from the masses. And then they have a complex because, you know, they've been taught about white supremacy or racism and things like this. So, you know, they grow up feeling like everyone else is beneath or lower than them, and so they don't really get taught. But some people wake up by doing their own research, going into the rabbit hole, as they say, and they start to find things out. All right, let's keep going. Um, where am I? Where am I? Gosh, we got so many. Where was I?
After 5 minutes, yeah.
Yeah.
We just try to speed run the thing.
The chat.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right, let's do that.
We
Okay.
it now, yeah.
Yeah, we might as well. But I'm gonna catch up where I was. They're coming in fast and furious. I think that are the latest ones going to the top.
No, they're at the bottom.
Okay. Tell me, tell me something outside of person, places, and things. That's crazy. That question, because we bring things down into people, places, and things. But when you experience and receive affirmation or things that you've never been told before, you've never experienced or seen before on this planet, it's hard, because this is why the master says to us, he has to raise us up gradually. And you know, when you are traveling outside of your physical body, you experience things that you have to bring back. And so he says he's giving us information which we have to bring down into information, because you're trapped within that we're trapped within the three-dimensional world, to the point where only a being that is outside of that will guide you in a particular way, and you have to be patient for him to raise us up in degrees. And so the best way of explaining or answering your question is that if you follow the man who knows, then you're. So I could easily answer that question and say, Parna Babyanun is outside people, places, and things, because he has spoken about and given us information and showed us things that no one else on the planet did, or that no one on the planet actually knows of or been to. So by you being in connection with him, you're already experiencing that until you get to that point where you can step outside people, places, and things. But we're dealing with that right now. This is what he's raising us to do, because the third dimension is, moving, and people are moving into the fourth dimension, which deals with the mental, and then you're moving into the fifth dimension all the way to, nine dimension or nine ether. So patience. But the point with that is, sometimes people will ask a question as if there's anybody else that can do it. Like, if you ask that question to people else or anyone in, say, religion, they can't do it. So it's got to be something where you can feel and experience, but can't really explain it without bringing it to people, places, and things. Um, that's right. Call no man master. Yeah, that's an important point. The master, call no man master. I know why you say that, and it's a good point. Who's this? Dark side. It's important. It's a good point, because the reason people don't like the word master is because they think of slavery and they think about someone else being superior to them. But the problem is people don't use the full titles. People shorten things, like instead of saying the master teacher, they will say the master. That's through laziness. So we're not saying he's our master like we're slaves under him, like in slavery. It's because people shorten the title the master teacher, which means he's the master at teaching. He's no one teaches like him. So people that hear the master, they always say, oh, no one's my master. I'm not going under anybody. But when you're humble and you realize that, people can know more than you, it's not an egotistical thing. So Yeah, it's important we say the full title to the master teacher. And then even that, because if you just typed Google Dr. York, you're going to get different people called Dr. York. It doesn't refer to Malachi Z.K. York. And it's a laziness that we have where we shorten things. We short even names. You give somebody a name like Robert, they'll start calling them Rob or Bob. So it's a thing where you have to be aware that you're shortening things, which can then create a complete different you know kind of misconception. Yeah, so thanks Panama Angel for clarifying that, but it's important. So he's the master teacher, the master of teaching. He's the master of many things because he has mastered those things. People go to university and get a master's degree. One can say I'm a master, because you have a master, but it doesn't mean that you're the master. Even if you've got 10 masters, there's going to be a master of masters, because even within the masters there will be one who is the most high. All right, so yeah, that point is clear. We're not saying he's our master like some kind of slave master. Rahubat family, let us hasten to unite in consciousness so we can master change and the master teacher could come to be in our midst. 100%. All right, I'm going to go quick now. All right, there we are. Wadu, appreciate love. He's foreign to the teachings. He can only ever be a student. Okay, they're talking about someone else. Salute. When does Shams come in? Well, those who know will know because they will be informed and they will know where the Shams are. You are definitely entitled to your opinion. No one is forcing you to accept this. Absolutely. Yeah, we don't. Wu-Sabat is down to you in terms of you accept it or you don't accept it. We're not evangelizing or trying to recruit people or convert people. Wu-Sabat is the facts, is the truth. You accept it or you don't, and we keep it moving. I have two questions. Ask, okay, in the chat. Okay, cool. I'm kindred to the rascal. Okay.
JX, his donation.
Yeah.
What are the effective ways of raising your vibration in terms of hobbies, habits, rituals, etc.? So how can you raise your
Okay.
vibrations?
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, thank you, JX. What are some effective ways of raising your vibrations in terms of hobbies, habits, rituals? Yeah, that's such an important question. First one is to be able to look deep inside yourself, like retrospectively, constantly look at yourself. Like, are you being the best that you can be, or is there room for growth? Like, really get to know yourself. Are your thoughts your own? Are you making decisions based on your conviction, or is it influenced by other people or someone? And if it is, that's okay if the people are people you're aspiring to be like. So being around the right type of energy, the right type of people, because they say, show me your friends and they will show you the type of person you are. So some of the ways are to first of all be able to isolate yourself, get to know yourself, and then conquer fear, because fear is what stops people from actually being who they're supposed to be. Because if they're worried or afraid of what others or people are going to think, or how they're going to judge me, how they're going to look at me, so you have to be able to do that. And then once you conquer that fear of being yourself, nobody can be as authentic as you. So you have to be as authentic, your authentic self as possible, and then live and practice truth, because truth has no allegiance or alliances with anyone else but truth, because truth is truth. This is one of the sayings of the master teacher, Parnabab Yanun. Truth is truth. It has no associations with anyone. You either accept it or you don't. You either live it or you don't, but it's still going to be the truth. You can reject it, but it's still the truth. So living in truth will help you. And then, of course, the practices of being mindful, how you treat people, how you treat yourself in terms of what you put into your body. Do you practice dealing with that, the way you react as well, responding to things, your vibration, your energy, your kindness, showing that ashuk, that we call divine love. As far as hobbies go, have hobbies that are going to help you learn something new, like learning a musical instrument, obviously any form of exercising, habits, eating well, eating at the right times, drinking lots of water. Water has memory, water flushes you, water is pure, it has the best pH value, water is always uniting, going back to itself. You can learn a lot from water. And then also respect nature, be in tune with your ancestors, speak to those beings that are working and walking with you, that are also about helping you progress. Rituals, we have the chants that we have in Wu-Sabat that help you connect with your ancestors, studying, researching, checking things out for yourself. Like we already covered, meditation, relaxation, being in the moment, constantly like living in the now, because you can't worry about things that have already happened that you can't change, and don't worry about the future too much or things that you can't do anything about. So you just deal with the now, and whatever you're doing in the now, you're fully engaged and submerged in it. All right. A lot of that is also in our book, The Fast Track. We cover a chapter on meditation and how to manifest as well your environment, your reality, by way of tapping in and connecting.
Chaser said, "Can you ask Sir Ken what planet he's from? I had a dream and he was in it and told me he was from the next universe." So, what planet are you from?
Oh, that would be telling. That would be telling. I do travel a lot. Um, and if I was in it, then we were there, right? That's interesting. But having said that, you've just touched on something. I try. We don't even like to use the word try in Wu-Sabat. The master teaches the best example on the planet, and when you're a humble person in terms of you're able to, like I said, like really look at what and who is on the planet, what they're teaching, does it make sense, and scrutinize it, you will find if you do that deep dive, the master is the best example I can give anybody regarding anything, whether it's intelligence, whether it's respectfulness, whether it's love, or we say, unconditional love, caring, sacrifice, giving. I can go on and on and on and on. And if you can even emulate a small percentage of what he's given us and teaching us, and one of the best way of doing that is to apply what he's teaching us, to apply the knowledge, not just in a fickle sense, but like you really embrace it and live it to the best of your ability. You start to connect to him, to higher realms, and you will receive, you'd receive affirmation, and you just know, you start to know. And when you know, you just are, you are, you live, you're not trying, or, ing words, go into, I'm trying. You just live and do. And waking up every day and just being in that moment is the best one can do. All right. I hope that helped.
You have got a donation, but Check Chaser said, "I appreciate you asking my question. Sir Ken welcomed me with love in the astral realm, and he gave me confirmation that it's safe to follow Wu-Sabat."
Oh, there you go. It is safe. That's why I'm saying, like, smart people, intelligent people are within their rights to really make sure, because you're dealing with your soul at the end of the day. And there's nothing wrong. I gave the example of wrestling with, Jacob and Israel and all that, and the glasses. But when you get to that point, this is why we say there's a saying we say, peace in the lamb is truly wonderful. It's like when you get to a certain point. I had this conversation with somebody today actually, and it's like when you transcend lower vibrations, when you're vibrating on a high vibration, it's like it all makes sense in terms of how you treat people, burning out, or not burning it out, but being in control of the ego, knowing that you've got so much more to learn, respecting everyone and everything. You can't really fake it. It's not, Wu-Sabat is not like a dip you in water religion and then it's all pretense. It's not real. It's not like, yeah. So yeah, just be you. All right, let's keep going. I want to race through these.
You got donation and then do the race.
Okay.
What exactly did Yakub create if Pleiadian slash less melanated people already existed? Did he create the Jews? Story doesn't make sense. Marduk was albino.
Who's that?
C dub or C
Okay.
double.
If Pleiades seeded, no, that's not the one.
Just this one.
Um, okay. Yeah, I got it. Yeah. All right. Again, sometimes you can pick up a lot from someone's way they ask a question or what they say. When you say what exactly did Yakub create, if Pleiadians, if Pleiadians slash less melanated people already existed, yeah, no, Yakub created the Flugerods. This is where people kind of like mix up the stories because you have different types or different species of races. So even when we say like, the simple term white people, which we know there aren't really white people and there are no black people, but like there are clans. That's why we say Vikings or the Six Kings. And you start to look at them, they're actually different. It's the same with the Negroids. There are 9 species of us, and they're different in certain ways. So Yakub created the Flugerods, but these Flugerods were 8,400 years ago, before the what people know in the biblical story of the son of Noah, all right, dealing with Ham, where Canaan came from, which was the lack of melanin, and then the curse came afterwards. But then the Flugerods and the Canaanites also mixed and produced offspring. So when you say less melanated people already existed, they existed in the sense of the Pleiadians, because these Pleiadians were the one that activated his 2 brains and gave him the idea of going about creating a weak and wicked race, which we are referring to as the Flugerods. And then yes, later on, when you're dealing with the beings that came from that, you're dealing with the Ashkenazims and the Khazars of Russia, and then you got the 6 kings like the German and so forth, right? Who came out of that. And when you say the 11 sons of Canaan, this is what you're talking about: the Archites, the Canaanites, the Amorites, there's so many of them. So that's where they came from, but they also mixed in. And you say, did he create the Jews? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What you're calling Jews are coming from those Ashkenazim and the Sephardim. And the word Jew is a play on words because they try to tie into the tribe of Judah. And they're trying to say they're Judahites, but they're not. They're Jebusites. Yeah, that's Jebus is one of the sons, the Jebusites, you see. So when you say the story doesn't make sense, you should really say the story doesn't make sense to you. Therefore, you need to ask more questions, study, and put the pieces together. And you say Murdoch was albino. Where's that coming from? Like again, you're making a statement and not asking a question, because what is an albino? You see, so we can make, and there are different people called Murdoch as well, just like there are different people called different names. So it is more about you getting the pieces and putting them together so that it will make sense for you. So that's why the student teachers are around to help, and then the scrolls will be there to really help you, you know, clear up the confusion. All right, all right. To Ray, fasting is not the only discipline that will help. Okay, thanks. Yeah, we got our student teacher Nee in the house. Good to see you, brother, and thanks for your help in answering the questions as always in the Telegram group and on here. So yeah, Tawul Tak Zama. All right. Any more questions? Let's see. Okay. Antoine Moore. Zamal Saken, could you expound what the barythry gland is? Um, okay, I feel like we've got time, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can. Oh man, I'm gonna have to get up. I don't want to get up. I was gonna find the man from Planet Risk, um, but the barythry gland is actually covered in so many different scrolls. Let me see if I can find something. But anyway, let me tell you what I can. So,
Which one is it in? Look.
oh yeah, it's probably in that pile or maybe the one, the man from Planet Risk. Yeah. And we've got brothers in the chat as well who can also help. But the barythry gland is a gland that was surgically removed a while ago so that you wouldn't have access to your full brain capacity when man started to deviate from, following the laws of Wu-Sabat. And so, because it's like the phrase I use a lot when we say you can't put a loaded gun into a child's hands because them not knowing the power of that gun or that weapon, they might look at it and then pull the trigger. So when we started to fall from grace, it's like one of these sizes like that. We started to become a liability, meaning the wrong power in the wrong hands will mean that we could actually cause more damage. So we had to then prove worthy to have it reinserted or replaced. And so the transgressions were even like with the Adamites specifically, they started to, even with the little knowledge and power they were given, like the power of, atomic, energy and they created atomic bombs, which not knowing the ramifications of such power could destroy the entire planet. Not only the planet, but it could actually destroy our solar system, our galaxy, which will have an effect on the other galaxies and the other beings that reside in different places. So the barythry gland is something that gives you the ability to use your entire brain. And one of the latest updates that we put out from the master teacher was explaining that those who are responsible, I touched on it earlier on when I was talking and giving the example or the analogy of Superman. Like power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So beings that elevate to a certain level have to be then responsible enough to be able to know how to use the power they're given. You hear the phrase, great power comes with great responsibility. It's okay if you can't find it. If you're not in the Telegram group, join the Telegram group and we will go into it. But yeah, it's a gland that will be replaced, and the master has explained that it will be replaced in the submental region, which is down here, which sub means underneath, but that which interacts with the mind, all right? But there's so much information in the Man from Planet Risk. In fact, it might even be in this one. Let me see. It might be in the black book. Because the barythry gland is something that everybody wants, but you have to be worthy to receive it. And it's good as well because it's like you have something to attain to or work to get. Because imagine what they showed you, what in the movies we mentioned, like Lucy and I think it's Inception. Yeah, where he's able to by using a pill, able to use the full capacity of his brain to the point where he can literally, or even Denzel Washington in the Equalizer, the late, I think, yeah, either of them, the first one or the second one, where he's able to like, like you can think like, okay, if I don't want to use but if I fire a bullet in that direction, in that angle, what's going to happen? It's going to hit that, it's going to reflect that, it's going to do this. So you can literally map out everything. So you can go down, like, you can literally time travel down different options of what will happen with a decision that you make and analyze all of them and the outcomes, and then take the best one of them to go down. This is what we call sound right reasoning. So your full capacity, the full use of your brain will be able to. This is what the supreme beings, the Natharu, our ancestors, they don't just think on one level. They think on the level of the effects that will happen to the entire universe and universes or multiverses. So yeah, that power is the kind of power that they have. I can't seem to find anything on it that I can read to you, but we will do. But let's keep it moving because I'm pretty sure. What's the time now? Yeah, we still got a bit of time. But yeah, that's a flavor of what the barothry gland is. And I'm sure other student teachers might build on that as well. Okay, where are we? OSM Vision, I appreciate you asking my questions. So Ken, welcome me. Okay, we covered that. Okay, here I am. The story makes perfect sense to me. That's what resonates with me. I don't know what this other guy is talking about. He needs to go to class. Okay, I don't know what that is. Is our death predestined? I feel that we can accidentally shorten our life with our choices. What is the teaching on this? You're correct. Your predestination. I mentioned that's a movie, a really excellent movie to watch. Not everyone's death is predestined. Some are, meaning that we can program outcomes, and this is why we know what we call fate, F-A-T-E, which religion mistranslates and calls it faith, in believing or having your power given to someone else who's going to determine what's going to happen to you. Whereas fate is based on natural nature and the way that the Padnatharu, our ancestors, have set things in motion with cause and effect. So you can, but like you say, when I say predestination, you're actually responsible for whether you live longer to what you're capable of living to, or you shorten your life by the things you do, as you say, by what you put into your body, where you go, what you subject yourself to, or if you allow others to do that to you. Stress, you hear people say stress kills. So you can change the course of your fate by the things that you do. And when you say, when I said some people are not able to, is because your telomeres at the end of your chromosomes are what scientists are starting to find out now, that determines how long you live. And some beings, especially the Adamites, theirs were actually set and programmed so that they will only live up until 6,000 years, and then after that will start to fade away. You see, so in their case, it's set. If you know anything about computer programming or coding, you can code, and you can also have what we call hard code, right? So you have code that will perform and change based on based on outcomes. If this, do this, if that, do this, right? But then you also have something called constant. Like you have variables. Variable means that it varies or it will change. So as you're coding, you can say, if this happens, do that. You create a variable to hold information because it's based on what happens or the variables, whereas constants are something you set. So in say mathematics, for example, pi is set at a particular. You can go to the full length of pi, which is 3.14 da 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 da, but because that won't really change, you can set that as a constant. Being a constant doesn't mean that you can't then change it, but it's hard coded where you'd have to go in and change it. It's the same with like let's say tax, VAT rate. The tax rate is set for a long period of time. So in the UK right now, it's like 20%. Some remember when it used to be, I think it used to be 17%. So because it remains the same for a long period of time, you can hard code that. So I'm saying your telomeres can be hard coded as well as they can be programmable. And now everything is programmable. So you have cars that are running off electricity that are programmable. You have the blockchain that is programmable. You have programmable money now when you're dealing with digital currencies. So we're moving into an era where a lot of things are being programmed. You found it? Oh, okay. Do you want to read it? All right. Let's see. We found.
But that's
Yeah.
Man from Planet Risk.
Oh, we found it on Man from Planet Risk. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. This is in relation to the barothry gland. Yeah. Let me just go a little bit back. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to read some of this because it's very interesting. It says, I have 76 trillion years of light knowledge. This is what I was just saying about electricity and things moving more into ether, because light crystals, when you start to deal with light knowledge, your aura, the green light I mentioned before, this is all dealing with light knowledge. How else would I have been able to write about the science of creation? Or is there life after death? Right? And these are scrolls he written. The Science of Creation, scroll number 81. Or is there life after death, scroll number 124, which today he has also written the spiritual you after the physical you dies. This is someone is a spiritual master and he's able to teach you about things that are going to happen to you or what happens at death, etc., where other teachers don't really go into that. All right, let's keep going. He says, since my transformation from an ordinary man at the age of 25, then again at age 40 into a supreme being, I have released the unbridled spiritual powers that are characteristic to your godlike nature. Thus, as you see, the books have taken on a definite path. Right? So we went through the different paths. This was the middle path. I know now who and what I am. At age 40, I saw the full light. Now, I know the power given to me by the soul of Al-Ruach, Melchizedek, Michael, Michael, has allowed me to bring you out of the darkness into the light of undisputable truth. Melchizedek is 76 trillion years old. He has been in me since 1970 AD and now has taken over. I am him, perfection. I consist of myself, which is referred to as Dr. Malachi Z. York. I also have living within me or visiting me a multitude of personalities which come at different times. I don't know what you would call that. It's very difficult to explain to people who have not encountered the same experiences. But I myself know, and that's what's important. Someone says, do you have proof of this? Answer, the proof appears in my writings. The facts and the names of people that have never been known in historical calculation, in calendar times and places that are so detailed that could not have been fabricated. I feel sorry for the people who sit around and think I have the power to fabricate all of these things. If I did, I would probably spend my time writing movies as opposed to trying to raise the lost souls. I don't sit around and make these things up. These are distinct personalities of people or beings who have lived in the past or in other galaxies, interdimensional, at this time called now, who incarnated into me, and they relay their messages through me to you. That is what makes me different from most people. I am not a religious man. I am just a teacher. I have been saying this for years. I am not saying that I am anything special as an individual. I am saying that these powers come through me and they are distinct beings. I possessed a number of 8 distinct personalities. There are also others. Each one of them represents a certain amount of information that must be conveyed in these last days and times. Some of their jobs are finished. I don't hear them anymore. Some of them represent spirituality. Some of them are healers, historians, great men, and some of them accompanied great men or are extraterrestrial beings. Oftentimes, people have misinterpreted my characters by this and have made up their own interpretations of who they thought I was. Therefore, I will now take out the time to give you more in depth information of who I am. And then the question, what about Dr. York? Dr. York is the name I used. It's a family name, so I could come to people without being judged as a Jew, Christian, or Muslim, but be judged as a person. Being that the language of the United States is English, I recorded under an English name to reach people. Now my real name is Dr. Malachi Z. York. Look into what I am teaching. Check it out. See if it is the facts. Don't judge me by a mere name. Let me disclose some mysteries to you. Let me tell you something that these disagreeable beings know. However, they choose not to tell you. You have been placed under a spell of sleep called Kingu or Leviathan. This evil hypnotic spell cast upon you, the Adamites, those of the ground or earthling who became Enochites, mortal beings, people, seeds of Enlil, known as Nunamnir, son of Anu, who's known as Elilo or Allah, and Atum, Alat, his wife, right? By his own brother Enki, Ea, Nudimud, 6,000 years ago, for the rulership of the heavens and key, earth. It is called a spell of sleep of your subconscious mind of the spell of Leviathan. It is the mode of 1, 2, 3. Going back to somebody was asking earlier on, people, places, and things, where everything you think of is in some way based on the number 3. For example, 3 dimensions, when in actuality there are many more. The Trinity, the Bible, which is based on God, the devil, and humanity. 1 being the Old Testament, 2 being the New Testament, and 3 being the Quran. And a lifestyle concept of a home, a job, and money in the bank. The spell was cast upon the spell was cast with the help of a reptilian or a demon man of the Luciferians named Enzu, also known as Shakar and Tarnush, by Ishtar and Enki, Nudimud, who was able to cast a spell on the descendants of Enlil, Nunamnir, and his half-sister Ninti. However, Zuen and his race of Natas, right, when you spell Natas backwards, is Satan, betrayed Enki and also cast a spell on his descendants, the Yahwehans or Jehovahans. And you are from both brothers and are the children of Zakar, Adam, and Nakeba, Hawa, Eve. Then the Adamites were cut off from their 4 higher senses. This is going into the barythry gland now. These 4 higher senses were 1, telepathy, 2, clairvoyance, 3, intuition, and 4, psychometry. These higher senses are what connected you or enabled you to communicate to the various, he says Elohim here, but we know like the extraterrestrials, before you were able to communicate with more than one. Now, only one Elohim or Anunnaki has been assigned to you. This is Tammuz, who was once disagreeable and converted to agreeable was assigned to oversee you as your Yahweh, or he who is, or Adonai, master, or Elo of the Elohim for 6,000 years. So he says, can you explain these higher senses? Yes, one of the four higher senses is telepathy. It is the ability to communicate messages from the mind without using verbal speech. Clairvoyance is the ability to see clear, know what is going on in another place or another room without seeing the event or events with the two physical eyes. Intuition is the ability to know what is about to happen before it happens, or a second awareness about something that gives you guidance. This is perception. Psychometry is the ability to be able to tell something about a person by holding an object that belonged to that person. Right. This is the question that goes into the barothry gland. How did we lose these four higher senses? The great scientist Nagal, Ninti, daughter of Anu, Erishkigal, wife of Nagal, Genesis 1:21, opened a part of your brain and removed a gland known as the barothry gland, which was not originally called barothry gland, but called that because of the word bara, which means beginning of a thing or to bring about to a new. It was removed from the hippocampus area, which is located in the cerebellum region of your brain. The barothry gland worked with the appendix and the tonsils. The removal of the barothry gland cut off your four higher senses: telepathy, clairvoyance, intuition, and psychometry. And then there's a diagram. The hippocampus, whose purpose is not well known to modern science, is the tissue which held the barothry gland when it was once inside the brain. Yanun, when did you come here? As answer, I, Yanun, came once on Tuesday 12th midnight 26th of June 1945 AD to see which human seed I would be planted in and to reinsert the barothry gland in the child. And it shows the diagram of the submental area of the lower chin, place where the gland was placed. And then it goes on to talking about the weather filled with an overcast of clouds and rain was a perfect cover for our mission. We did not reinsert his barothry gland in the hippocampus area of the brain this time, but in the lower part of the chin, referred to as the submental area, meaning the sub or lower, and mental, that which reacts with the mind. And then it goes on about, but that kind of gives you a flavor. This is why you hear so many people talk about the scroll Man from Planet Risk, because the date when that was written and to today, where this is still something being spoken about, it was so far ahead of his time. So no one has stood the test of time or able to give you such information. Of course, there are people that came after him and regurgitate what he taught, repackaged it, and don't give credit or don't give acknowledgement to the source. But, the master teacher is the master at teaching. Okay. There we go. This is John Cotton. How does predestined and free will coexist? It depends on how you're interpreting that, because these terms like free will, if you're looking at it from a religious perspective, you think it means that you are free to do what you like. But then they contradict that in religion by saying that you can't choose certain things, because if you choose to go against the God of the Bible or the Quran, or you choose to say you don't want to believe in him, or you choose to not accept what he's saying, then you're punished and sent to hell, which means that it's not free because it has a consequence. But what it means is that you do have the ability to be in control of your fate by way of your choices. But the thing is that you've been taught to make wrong choices. This is why in the scriptures when it says, or in the Bible when it says that when they ate of the tree of knowledge, they were able to know good from bad, or really agreeable from disagreeable, or they were now able to make decisions to not go in a particular direction. What would be the quickest and most effective way? You got one?
This is from Jason Mason.
Yeah.
It says, "Funny how my question never gets answered.
Okay.
What's going on with Jupiter and the tons of plutonium supposedly taking it to a second sun?"
Uh, Plutonium, Jupiter, second sun. Again, it's not okay. It's not intentional in terms of people that don't get their question answered. It's just the way that the questions come in, and sometimes it gets overshadowed by someone else. Um, oh, okay. I just saw a question just before that, but honestly, when people say things like what you said about plutonium and Jupiter, and we have to know the source of that information, because we don't want to just like give opinions and speculate and talk about things that we have no knowledge of. So we wait for sometimes a master teacher to give us the real deal of what's really going on, because people will say this is happening because of this or that, and it may not be that. So I can't, I don't know where that information, the source of that information. So we can't really comment or speak on other information from other people. We really teach Wu-Sabat and what we know or what we've been taught or what the master has put out. So to answer that question, I can't give you any further information about the Jupiter plutonium issue that you're referring to. Um, okay, I'm back to where I was now. Hi, Saken. Is Malachi Z the master teacher or a master teacher? Please explain. He's the master teacher because you have many teachers or many people that profess to be masters, but a master teacher is the teacher of teachers. So if you used to line up all the people that claim to be master teachers, they won't be able to give you new information or teach you things you don't know. And that's what really makes a teacher. Sometimes a teacher that teaches based on not just regurgitating information, but be able to make things very clear, able to teach something new that or bring the experience and things that they've actually lived and experienced. So he's the master teacher because he's the best teacher or the master teacher on the planet right now, with the most information, the most knowledge, and able to take you beyond what other teachers can, because he's a spiritual master as well as a physical master. Not to say there aren't other teachers that claim to be master teachers, but you have to judge a tree by the fruit that it bears. And I don't know anyone else so far who's put out over 1,000 books breaking down information about every subject that has been put to him or any question that's been asked to him. And then you have others who are great teachers and they teach, but they can't really take you beyond. Like, for example, no other teacher is giving you your language. As simple as that might sound or seem, it's like, okay, where are other teachers that have given you a language? And we can keep going on and on. And when I started to, and most people I speak to, when they start on their spiritual journey or when they're woke, it's like they will say, I used to listen to this person, I used to follow this person, but it got to a certain point, they couldn't take me any further. So, for example, a lot of people will teach about Egypt. There's so many books. Everybody wants to teach on Egypt because, like the pyramids and certain things that the Egyptians did or have done, people are still mystified or still trying to figure out how were they so smart? How did they do this? But they don't then give you a whole community or built pyramids and live the culture and break down all the secrets of Egypt and give you information that nobody has. So they don't even represent Egypt in their attire they wear, or do you know what I mean? So it's like it's easy to fake the funk. It's easy to come across and be like I'm the guy, but then get put on the let people scrutinize you, let people ask you questions, let people see like what we do here when we came on the scene saying ask us anything, and what we do, and based on the feedback and what people say to us, it's like we're just student teachers of the master teacher. And so what I'm basically saying is like not many people will put themselves up to be on the firing line. This is not scripted. Today is the only time we haven't had live calls, right? But we're still getting live questions in the chat. And when you listen to the ones where we get live calls, there's no way we can pre-plan or know who's going to call in or what questions they're going to come and ask us. But yet we're able to answer the questions. And if we don't know, we will say we don't know. What you see is what you get. We don't fake it and pretend, and like if we don't know, we don't know, but we know a man who does know, and we will get the questions to him. And that's another thing. If you have questions, he's open, like, you can go on the United Sabians Worldwide website and ask him a question. Or you can leave questions in the comments, or you can actually leave comments of how Wu-Sabat has changed your life, And I'm just saying, I'm just one of millions of student teachers, and you will probably become a student teacher yourself, because once you realize after you're being a doubting Thomas, or being someone that is skeptical, someone that scrutinizes everything, and compare it to anybody else out there, like ask those people to put themselves up to be questioned. Our brother, what's his name? Bill Carson. If only he had this book, if he only had this book, this would have really helped him out. And so I'm saying that to say that it's about giving reverence and respect where respect is due. And yeah, the master teacher, there's none other like him. If you think there is, please let us know who that is. Point us in the direction so we can actually, because people do that. I'm listening to this guy, I follow this guy does this, and we go and check them out because we want to know, like, and we kind of break them down quite easily. We're able to decipher, and it's like a person who is a Muslim, they're gonna be limited because everything they're gonna quote and tell you is from the Quran, until you start to go, okay, let's dissect the Quran, the language, the surahs, how they were put together. Is it the same Arabic that we have today that was then? Is there an original Quran? And just because it says that in this book doesn't mean it's true. But you're limited. It's the same with a Christian who will just quote the Bible all the time. And then within the Christendom, you have the new ones who say they are, following Jesus Christ. How can you follow someone you don't even know where they are, or how can you follow someone that you never met? And we go into the books and who put them together, and when were they put together, what language were they in? And it's like the planet's been here for millions of years, and you're telling us all of this happened in 2,000 years. No. So we do the same with, and you keep walking backwards, the Old Testament is the same, like Hebrew, like we break down Hebrew, who's Abraham, where did he come from? You end up being to the point where he was a Chaldean, from Ur of Chaldea, and he had, his parents, Terah, and then you go into the Babylonian stories, and you start to get into the Anunnaki stories, the Sumerian doctrine, you get into ancient Egypt, and then it ties all the way back to the stars. So what we do is we don't just deal with someone on face value. We go in because for years we've been questioned to prove ourselves. Prove what you teach, and that's all we've done. So now it's our turn to question everyone else. So if you do have someone you think has the answers and is the master teacher, then let us know who he is so we can check them out. Okay, let's.
10 minutes left for the 10-minute speed run.
Okay, I might as well start from the bottom then, because. Okay. I follow the official grandmaster. Okay, who's that? Yeah, Bobby Hermit was a master teacher, a master teacher. He never built any communities, built pyramids, built and lived the culture. Great teacher though. Yeah, we're not going to act like we know. Tawat, Ashok, okay. Jason, not sure exactly which true light tape. What is your concept of a god and supreme being? Okay, so that's somebody having a conversation. Uh, Greetings. Are there more gods versus supreme beings on this earth? Supreme beings are higher than a god because God can mean different things to different people. Being a god is not the what you've been taught a god is, because a god cannot be less than himself. A god cannot have questions. A god cannot not know things based on what they teach you that he does. Because when you start to look at his behavior and so supreme being is higher than a god. A god in different cultures to different people means different things. Speeding, going up. Okay. I can see Brother Knees answering a lot of questions. Okay, that's the Jupiter question. We saw that. Oh yeah, we said, what is the black glue? Um, Again, like I can answer that question if what I think you're asking it is, but you just said what is the black glue? Where is the reference from that, Mia Lewis? But the glue that holds the universe together is referred to by different names, but it's like people may know it as tachyon or tachyon energy, which is what forms what you call standard columnar waves that you see emitting from the top of a pyramid, if that's what you're referring to. Today we call that ether, all right? And at the center of everything, there's energy that is holding it together, and that's that ether. But there are different levels, right? 9 levels. And, people might start off with just like looking at an atom and looking at like, you have like an electron, you have like electron is like dealing with electricity, proton, and then you have the nucleus. But as you delve deeper and deeper by subdividing, you start to realize there's more subatomic particles held together by this mysterious ether that people are only starting to learn more about. What would be the quickest and most effective way to bring Pops home? I like that question, Panama Angel. The most efficient and quickest is if everyone I mean, that learns or knows about Pops does whatever they can to reach the world. Let us shout, scream it out, make sure people know who Pops is. So, for example, we're just one channel teaching when you have all the people that are here or even that are in the Telegram group. If everyone was spreading it, the world is not as big as we think it is. Like with social media and these devices, people can reach people. You got one YouTube channel of people that are reaching millions of people or have millions of subscribers. So we gotta, make everybody know, like just like anyone else who has gone through some kind of injustice. Like even if you look at when Mandela was incarcerated, it was the world, those people. And when we say the world, we're not just talking about a particular race. Everyone that knew that this was an injustice, they did concerts. You remember the what's his name, Mr. I Don't Like Mondays, Bob Geldof. He did the aid, what's it called, Band Aid, where they did a concert to promote you know We Are the World. So I'm saying it, the quickest way is to get the awareness and then the coming together in love and unity for a just cause, letting the officials know, helping with the legal team, the support is needed. You being able to like everything you do to help us helps in terms of the people that are getting the scrolls, they're studying, they are they're just in the communities, they're chanting. There's so many levels of what you can do to help. It's not just always financial, it's your energy, it's your thoughts, it's your support in the activities, in the bookstores, you know. Yeah, but the quickest way he told us is love and unity. Come together in peace and harmony and get along and work together to free him. All right, I see two orbs heading east out. See them 6 in a row heading north 6 nights ago. See them a lot, nearly every night. Yeah, they're here. The presence. I mean, it's actually funny when something is actually in the mass media. It's like there's a buzz and then it kind of goes quiet, and people think that because it's not being shown on the news anymore, that it's gone away. And we can go back and look at things like when AIDS was rampant, or mad cow's disease, or what do they call it, the chicken flu. Was it chicken flu? Bird flu, that's it. There's so many things that come and then all of a sudden you don't hear about it anymore. Orbs in the skies, extraterrestrials, and then it just goes quiet. Doesn't mean it's still not going on. It's just that, the mass media might not choose to, push it. Because if you think about it, if it didn't get so rampant where people were like on their phones filming it, sharing it, talking to other people, if the news never said it, never mentioned it, most people would even know that it existed or took place. So we're saying, don't believe the hype and don't believe the mainstream are going to tell you exactly what's going on. With all the UAP, UFO stuff going on, what events can we expect to take place soon as far as spirituality and it's the UFOs connected to our soul or place in the universe? Yeah, because you have ancestors and different people that are in these, what you're calling UAPs or UFOs, that are coming back here to pick up their children or to share information and to teach. And not everybody will survive because, there are updates we received from the master like in 2007, 2005, after he had been incarcerated for a while, where he gave us information of what's going to take place up until the year 2030, 2031. So this is the time we're living in, and people are still asleep, and we're here to wake people up so that some people will survive and make it. Are the Elohim extraterrestrials or more like spiritual beings? What is the difference? What books would we recommend? Second question, are we living in a simulation? That question can be answered in many different levels. And yes, a simulation in the sense that what you see around you is an illusion, in the sense that it gives the illusion that things are solid, but really things are composed of smaller particles and things are vibrating and moving. Extraterrestrial just literally means something extra from outside the terrain into this terrestrial, from the celestial or outside the earth. But there are different types of beings. And everything is spiritual because everything vibrates and everything deals with being alive, means you're moving. And that's spirituality. But then there is another level to that, which is having a soul that helps you to have emotions and connections to other realms and other beings and other vibrations, especially Mother Nature or natural ether energy. Okay, I can see, Brother Nia. We've run out of time. Oh, actually, I've caught up. So I've gone from the bottom back to where I was. Bottom.
Before we end, can you just explain extraterrestrial? Because yesterday you said about the sun rays. So can you just explain what extraterrestrial means? And
Okay.
finish.
Let me just answer this. Evening, Saken. I am Tumi from South Africa. I'm struggling to join the Telegram group. When I try to join, it says I should complete an OTP sent to me. All right, that's a one-time password. That's what OTPs. So go to your Telegram, look at messages from your Telegram, and they would have sent you a password. That's just verification. So the OTP stands for one time password. So look if you received a message from Telegram, and you may have to put a code into Telegram to then give you access. But we can help you troubleshoot that in the Telegram group. All right. Okay, so you want me to explain extraterrestrials? All right. So English is built up, or any language for that matter. You have building blocks to a vocabulary. So, when you're using words, you have to first learn the alphabet. The alphabet put together gives you words. And the words in English can be made up of different words. So, like a word like understand, you can see clearly that there's a word called under and there's another word called stand that's put together to say understand. When you start looking at English words, you will see this clearly where some words are like two words or three words, or one word going in one direction and another word going in the other direction. And so, with people, and some words can spell the same words going in different directions. They call this like anagrams, right? So when we're saying extra terrestrial, we have to understand that you break that into different words. Extra is one of the words. And what does extra means? It means in addition to, or adding something to, extra. Yeah. Can I have some extra food, please? Or extra whatever, extra, right? So addition to. The word terrestrial deals with the origin of that word comes from the word terra, because this planet was at one point referred to or called Terra. So extraterrestrial is also dealing with the terrain or the land or the mass, the land mass of the planet. And then you have celestial, which deals with outside of the planet. So when you say extraterrestrial or anything extra to the terrain or anything extra to the planet Terra, you're saying anything that comes from outside the planet is an extraterrestrial, because it's coming from the celestial. And if a meteorite comes from outside in, it's an extraterrestrial. So when we're looking and saying angels, and we're saying things like God and Jesus, they are all in a place that they tell you is called heaven. Okay? So where is heaven? They will tell you it's outside of the planet Earth or up there. And people will be like, up there where? And they will look up into the sky. And the illusion is that these people, angels, God, Allah, Jesus, the prophets that have left, they've gone to heaven, an unconfirmed place, until you dissect it in the Bible and say what is referred to as heaven, not in the English, but in the words where the English it's been translated from another language into English. So you get to words like Uranus in Greek. Uranus in the language is Orion, which is a star constellation. Then you have other words like Pleiades, which is again another star constellation, which is up there, outside the planet, above the sky, above the firmament, above. As you go outside, you start to see stars and many constellations, clusters of stars forming patterns or constellations, right? So extraterrestrial is saying that anybody that is outside of the planet in a place like heaven, where the angels are supposed to be, and they come to this planet and they go back. So you have to ask, how do they come here? They travel in crafts. And when you start to then look in the Bible and look in the Quran and look at the stories that are being told of the different people talking, they're telling you they're seeing beings coming up and down. And you can't just go up, because you can't just fly up. And you have to start using science to say you can't breathe in certain atmospheres. And once you get past 6 miles off the planet Earth, you cannot breathe. This is why astronauts wear, they wear suits and helmets and have oxygen so they can breathe. Or they create crafts and have an environment where they can breathe. So when you start to piece all these little things together, like, okay, Jesus came down here and he went back up. So he's an extraterrestrial. And God is an extraterrestrial because he's somewhere called heaven sitting down on a throne where you can't just be on a throne is like a chair, right? You can't just sit on a chair floating in air, in space. So you can't breathe if you are able to walk, talk, have attributes of a physical human being. So extraterrestrial has then been coined into something called aliens because Hollywood and movies and, you know, pictures, cinema, they then make up all these stories that they tell you about beings or people that live outside the planet. And they gave you movies like Battlestar Galactica, Star Trek, Star Wars, the list goes on and on and on of movies that tell you about these people that live on crafts. And now you have space stations that, America, Russia, and, different European countries have been working on outside of the planet. So, yeah, it's a misconception for people that don't really take the time to break the words down, to dissect things, to use their mind to like make it make sense. Because if the place in the Bible is actually given to you as Orion or Sirius or Taurus or Pleiades, and it's referred to as in my father's house, there are many mansions. This is dealing with these different constellations. So, yeah, it's like get your mind away from the aliens because that's Hollywood, because they made movies like E.T. They give you all of these different species of extraterrestrials that are, in Hollywood, but with any story, there's some kind of truth behind it, So we break down the word extraterrestrial many times. It's just something extra that comes here and comes from outside to inside the planet. And Panda Babyanun, Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, was somebody that from the jump, he came on the scene saying, I'm an extraterrestrial. I'm from a planet called Risk, in Ilion. And obviously, if you've never heard that before and you're not aware of what an extraterrestrial is, you're gonna think, ha ha ha, it sounds funny. But like he said when I was reading the book called The Man from Planet Risk, which came out in the 90s, and he was telling you everything he was telling you then is still consistent with everything he's telling you today. It's just got more and more clearer, and with evidence, with sightings, with the United States government doing something called disclosure, where they're now admitting, and he told us the day is going to come when it will be well known and more people will get to start to realize that your whole concept of heaven and angels and gods and all these beings are just extraterrestrials that have come here, have been coming here. Some are living here and some visit and go back, and then they teach people or they give or share information technology, and then beings of, a lesser intelligence look at them as, call them gods and worship them and start to think like, oh, they must be special because they can't do what they can do. But Partner Babyanun has always told you, you also have the ability. Even Jesus in their story said, the works that I do, you will be able to do greater. So if you're going to do greater works than him, meaning what? Many masters, say a chess master, will teach their student all the moves they have, and the student has their own moves. So they're going to be able to beat the master because the master is giving you everything they have plus your own. So Jesus was saying the things that I do, whether it's levitation, alchemy, you have the abilities to do the same. You're just not aware of it. And the master teacher came on the scene saying, I am going to teach you because you're like me, you're supreme being, and I'm able to teach you to awake your latent powers. And if you listen and follow and, put into practice what I teach, you will be able to remember who you are as a supreme being. And supreme beings are responsible. They work together in love and unity, and they police and manage not just the planet, but as I said, the solar system, the galaxies, the universe, the multiverses to the omniverse. So we're going to leave it there. I hope I've given you a good breakdown for extraterrestrial. We shouldn't really get anyone asking us what's an extraterrestrial anymore. But
Can you confirm it's like the sun rays
okay, as in,
is an extraterrestrial?
yeah, sun rays are extraterrestrial because the sun is outside of this planet and the rays come down here and you're affected by the rays because without the sun, most life forms will die on the planet and everyone relies on the sun. Even like Muslims need the sun to tell them what time to make prayers. You see, so anyone who wants to have a picnic, they rely on the sun. When the sun's out, everyone's happy. People with melanin, it charges up your melanin and you feel good. We're all waiting for this cold weather to go because we don't really like it. It causes a lot of, distractions and, so everybody loves the sun really because the sun is that extraterrestrial that we all rely on. And it gives us the food we eat because the crops, they need the sun. So yes, the sun rays come down as the sun is photons and you get healed by the sun. This is what it talks about in Malachi chapter 4 verse 2. It says the time is coming with the sun cycle that's coming with healing in its wings, and it actually says sun, not son. You see, the sun was then grafted into the Son of God, or SON, and that when you look at the pictures that he's depicted in, or any spiritual person, they always have that halo and that heart seat with light emanating, and they have the halo around their head, which is dealing with the solar plexus. Soul relates to the sun. You see, so yes, the sun is an extraterrestrial that, so without it we won't survive. So yeah, all right, family, we've come to the end. As usual, it goes so quickly. We really want to appreciate, love, and thank you all for everything you do, because without you, there would not be us. We thank you for the donations. We thank you for buying the scrolls so that you can help yourself elevate. We thank you for liking our videos, for sharing our videos, and most of all, for subscribing to the channel. The algorithms are all based on activity and your interactions. So if you haven't done so already, join our Telegram group. Yeah. Make sure that you subscribe. Help us to spread the word, because everyone has a part to play in this new sun cycle, this new golden age of transformation. You can't have one foot in and one foot out. People are elevating upwards and some are going downwards and becoming even more degenerate than what the system is trying to, like dumb you down to. So yeah, you have those that are rising in vibration, in consciousness, that some refer to as the Christ consciousness. Like it's a new day and time, and really, truth is truth, and that's the currency that we're here pushing on Wu-Sabat, on OSM Vision. Ask us anything. So until next week, we have a live every Saturday as well. Join the classes, and we do our best to keep you up to date. All right. Ashok, which means divine love, and Wadu.